cleanliness of speech, mind, food, that things. So this song is about cleanliness of mind, how we have to clean our mind.
हरी बोल.
ने आंगन नहीं बुहारा, चंचल मन को नहीं संवारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हमने आंगन नहीं बुहारा, चंचल मन को नहीं संवारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हर कोने कलमश कषाय की लगी हुई है ढेरी, हर कोने कलमश कषाय की लगी हुई है ढेरी, नहीं ज्ञान की किरण कहीं भी, हर कोठरी अंधेरी, नहीं ज्ञान की किरण कोई भी, हर कोठरी अंधेरी। आंगन चौबारा अंधियारा, आंगन चौबारा अंधियारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हमने आंगन नहीं बुहारा, चंचल मन को नहीं संवारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हृदय हमारा पिघल न पाया, जब देखा दुखियारा, हृदय हमारा पिघल न पाया, जब देखा दुखियारा, किसी पंथ भूले ने हमसे पाया नहीं सहारा, किसी पंथ भूले ने हमसे पाया नहीं सहारा। सूखी है करुणा की धारा, सूखी है करुणा की धारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हमने आंगन नहीं बुहारा, चंचल मन को नहीं संवारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। अंतर के पट खोल देख लो, ईश्वर पास मिलेगा, अंतर के पट खोल देख लो, ईश्वर पास मिलेगा। हर प्राणी में ही परमेश्वर का आभास मिलेगा, सच्चे मन से नहीं पुकारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हमने आंगन नहीं बुहारा, चंचल मन को नहीं संवारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। निर्मल मन हो तो रघुनायक शबरी के घर जाते, निर्मल मन हो तो रघुनायक शबरी के घर जाते, सूर शाम की बाह पकड़ते, साग बिधुर घर खाते, सूर शाम की बाह पकड़ते, साग बिधुर घर खाते। हमने इस पर नहीं विचारा, हमने इस पर नहीं विचारा, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। हमने आंगन नहीं संवारा, चंचल मन को नहीं संभाला, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान, कैसे आएंगे भगवान। जय श्री कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is let's have a quick 3 to 4 minutes of participation, and then we'll see what we have done as a recap yesterday. Right? Yes. So what have we learned yesterday in the 17th chapter?
We
The
learnt
divisions
about
of faith.
we fall in which category, like the category of
Mhm.
goodness or the passion or the ignorance. We have to rate ourselves
Right.
according to our behavior, our eating habits, uh, whatever, all these things.
Correct. So we learned a lots in terms of divisions of faith, who prays whom, and based on that we also saw the material modes, right? And then we also saw what kind of food one should eat, and based on the food, how one eats, how they will elevate themselves. We saw that as well. So today, basically, in this chapter, which is the 18th chapter, the Lord would again almost summarize everything, right? He summarizes almost, yes. So the Lord, sorry, just give me a minute. I see it's okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the Lord summarizes again almost everything, where he what he call gives information about how one will be able to renounce one will be able to renounce oneself by detaching from the activities of the work and also from the fruits of the work. We will see that. Then we will see about what is a conclusion of the Sankhya and the Vedanta philosophy once again. And then again, he will try to revisit on the three modes, how we are entangled with the three modes of material nature, right? And basically, then we will see who's the best of the jnanis or the yogis, which we have seen, right? And we will see that how one would attain to the Brahma Bhuta stage. Today, we will see that. And what is a working in pure devotional service? Again, he will emphasize more on devotional service. Devotional service. I know almost every chapter he has emphasized on devotional service, but again, he will emphasize more on the devotional service here, right? We will see that aspect as well. And apart from that, we will see he will come up with the famous shloka, which is Sarva Dharman Parityaja, right? He will come up in terms of what is the most and the most or the ultimate confidential knowledge, where he will come up with that, right? We will see that as well. And basis that, we will see how one will be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita and what are the basis of the understanding the Bhagavad Gita. We will see that aspect as well. And then finally, we will see the conclusions over there through this particular chapter. So that is how Lord would explain again and again, and he will emphasize again and again over here. Right. Let me quickly share the screen. Can anyone please confirm if you people are able to
Yes,
see my screen?
yes, Prabhuji. The screen
Okay,
is visible.
Yes, yes, yes.
perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute you all. Yeah, so I'll mute you all, and then we will go ahead with the session, and then we will take question answer session at the end of the session. Right. So before we get into our final chapter, which is the Moksha Sannyasi Yoga, right, the ultimate perfection, and then let's seek what do you call, or let's offer our prayers to all our gurus and all your shastras and all your sannyasis as well, and then finally we will also seek shelter from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We offer our prayers to the Lord as well, right? ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखावितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right, for people who are aware or people who are not aware, today is our Advaita Acharya's appearance day. He's our Advaita Acharya, it's our appearance day. Right, so getting into the session, all the teachings are from His Grace, from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who's our founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or ISKCON as well. Right. So this is a progression for from all the chapters. It's like a so-called summary, right? It's a so-called summary of almost all the chapters here. And at the finally, he gives the most confidential and the most essential piece of information. We will see that. So to emphasize the goal of surrendering to Krishna, he emphasized once again, and he summarizes by reiterating, renunciation of work is the supreme. Right, again he emphasizes saying, with the proper detachment, acting with the detachments and true renunciation of work is supreme. And then also he will emphasize in terms of should renounce the fruits of the work and not work itself, should renounce the fruits of the work is what Lord is trying to say. That way we will be able to detach. Do your duty according to dharma and enjoy the world. Right? Do your duty according to the dharma and enjoy the world. Surrender to Krishna and devotional service unto Him is the ultimate goal of life, is what Lord is trying to explain over here in this particular chapter. Right. The acronym for this particular chapter, as per His Grace Sutapadas, is SMILE. So the first 18 verses talks about the summary of the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga, right? And then getting into the modes of the material nature, which will talk till almost the 40 verses, 19 to 40. And we'll see the ideal worker. Ideal worker is basically, by now you would have already guessed, the Varnashrama, who's the ideal worker. Then we will see the love of Godhead, how one would reach the Brahma Buddha stage. And finally, the end result, the Falashruti is given at the end result, which is from 67 to 78 verses. We will see that as well. Right, as usual, again, Arjuna starts with an inquiry. The first verse starts with an inquiry in terms of what is the purpose of sannyasa and what is the purpose of tyaga. He tries to ask this question once again, and the Lord Shri Krishna, he tries to answer in the following verses. That is second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth verses. He continues to answer. So Krishna defines sannyasa and tyaga. He defines the sannyasa and tyaga in this way, right? So he says the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, right? So giving up the activities that are based on material desire is called as sannyasa, and giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call as renunciation, tyaga. So the difference is sannyasa means renouncing both the fruits and the work itself is called as sannyasa. However, tyaga means to renounce the fruits of one's work, right? That is what the Lord is trying to explain in this verse. We can learn this particular, we can understand this a little bit further over here, right? So to renounce the results of all the activities is called as tyaga, and sannyasa means to renounce the activities that are based on the material desires. That's what he's trying to explain, which implies that you renounce the fruits as well as the work itself. That is what the Lord is trying to explain here. Let's move further. So basically there are many types of karmas in our day-to-day life. right? If we all remember the first six chapters, what did we learn from the first six chapters? We learned about the karma yoga, right? The entire Bhagavad Gita was divided into three parts: karma, bhakti, and the jnana part of it, right? So we learned various karma kanda activities where we learned about almost the karma yoga, and in the sixth chapter we learned about who's the best of the yogi, right? The best of the yogi, the Lord described himself 6.47. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmanam shraddhavan bhajate yomam teme yukta tamo mataha. So that's where Lord was trying to explain the best of all the yogis is one who is always remembering about me, right? And he clearly defined that bhakti yoga was the best over there in the sixth chapter. And then again we entered into bhakti yoga section from the seventh chapter almost till the 12th chapter, right? We went on with 7th to 12th over there, where we spoke about bhakti, which is devotional service, the way its nature is and the way the activities are. We saw completely there are 9 various ways of devotional service, so on and so forth. And finally in chapter 13th to 17th we saw the material nature, the consciousness of a person. Then we saw how we are made up of the material nature, pancha mahabhuta, and so on and so forth, how we are entangled with the material modes, and we saw the various divisions of faith, and so on and so forth. And finally in this he emphasizes again as the devotional service. That is where he is trying to emphasize here. So the discussion or the what you call options in this particular verse is, there are various types of karmas. Something called as nitya karma. Nitya karma, I'm sure everyone knows. It's a prescribed duty, right? There is something called as nitya karma, kamya karma. Kamya karma means the karma done to perform personal desires. Putra kameshti yagya. I'm sure all you people remember Putra kameshti yagya. Who has done it? King Dashratha did this. Similarly, there are there are some more karmas called as nishiddha karma, which you are not supposed to do, right? Naimita ki karma, right? Occasional obligatory duties, somebody will do it, like Garbhadana samskara, right? So on and so forth, they will do it, like Upanayana samskara, that is one more dharma. So, but these are the main emphasis which is given here to elaborate between the types of karma. One is a nitya karma, that is your daily prescribed duties, and kamya karma, which is a karma done to perform personal desires. Okay, so in this, how do we differentiate the sannyasa versus tyaga? That's where Lord is trying to explain here. In sannyasa, what happens? One gives up the kamya karma and performs nitya karma, right? So there are no personal desires at all. So he gives up the personal desires and only performs the nitya karma. What is nitya karma? Just like somebody, a brahmana doing a sandhya vandana or a sandhya arati. However, in tyaga, what would happen? One performs all kamya karma and nitya karmas without seeking results, right? One performs all kamya karma and nitya karmas without seeking results. But spiritual activities, purification, and liberation are not to be given up. For example, what do you think we people belong to? Are we doing, are we sannyasas or are we tyagis? Can anyone answer?
Tyagi.
Tyagis.
Yes, perfect. Yes, we are almost called as Tyagis. I know we are not even close over there, but that is what our elevation is, or that is what our advancement is, or that is what we are working for. Because from Nishkama Karma Yoga, you will automatically elevate to, we are taking the path of Bhakti Yoga by taking an elevator, we will perfectly called as Tyagi, because we are doing anything and everything, all the activities that we are dovetailing is Krishna conscious activities, where we are not attached to the work, neither we are attached to the results of the work. And we are also looking forward for spiritual activities, our purification of body, mind, soul, speech, and everything, and liberation at the same time, right? We are looking at our austerity as well. Austerity is where you are following everything at the same time. Anything that is a little bit painful for the body, mind, and soul, where we are focusing onto the lotus feet of the Lord, that is the best austerity that we are trying to do. So yes, as you rightly mentioned, we are almost close to Tyagis. So this is the example which has been given over here and which Lord is trying to explain here, right? So there are various what you call meanings or explanation, detailed explanation that is mentioned in the purport. In Srila Prabhupada's purport, you will be able to see why somebody would do certain sacrifices, what are they performing in terms of Kamya Karma and Nitya Karma and so on and so forth. It is a very elaborative explanation that has been given. Why people were doing animal sacrifices were also given. Generally, the basis is why people used to do those days animal sacrifices. When you sacrifice an animal, they had the powers or the rights where the animal will be automatically elevated either to a higher what you call position than the current position of the animal, or the animal which has been given ahuti over there or sacrificed over there will be automatically given birth in the will get a human life. That was the real essence of the sacrifices during those days. But there are various ways that some sages say animal sacrifice is not good. We have also seen in Satya Yuga, Lord Ramachandra was totally against these animal sacrifices, so on and so forth. Right, but our essence over here is we need to understand what the Lord is trying to explain in terms of what is sannyasa versus the tyaga. Moving further, we will see here Krishna's final verdict. Krishna's final verdict says in the sixth verse, all these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. And that's what we all are aiming for. If you see the king over here, he does his activities. In spite of he being a king, he comes and he sweeps the floor for the Lord, right? They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha, and that is my final word. It is what the Lord is trying to explain again and again here, right? So he talks about the yogis or the advanced souls for their advancement in the spiritual path. They should follow these procedures so that people take them as an example and we follow their path. For example, Srila Prabhupada, he led a very, very austere life. He was a perfect example of a Tyagi as well. He did all his work at the same time, he was not attached to the work as well. That was the best example, right? Moving further, we will see how the renunciation in three modes acts over here, right? What are the three modes act over here? Because the most important aspect that we need to understand over here is attachment, right? Without attachment or any expectation of result, one should work. And how they should work only as a matter of duty. So we are talking about attitude here. So the attitude while performing the sacrifices, the charities and penances, which we have seen in yesterday's chapter, also we have seen that. So this is what is being explained in the, we can understand from the later part of these three modes, that is from verses 7 to 9. So in 7 to 9, how can we differentiate between a Tyaga and a Sannyasi? We're going to see that here. Right. Ignorance. So people who are in the mode of ignorance, what do? They give up all the prescribed duties because of the mohamaya or the so-called illusion. Right. And people who are in passionate, what would they do? They give up duties as troublesome out of fear of bodily comfort. Right. Just due to their bodily comfort, they give up all these activities. However, the people who are in the mode of goodness, what do they do? They perform the duties as it is required to be done. They just perform the duties because it is just required for them to be done, and no material association or attachment to the fruits. And that is how they are not attached to the fruits. For example, there are if we see the purports have clearly been explained. The activities which promotes one to a spiritual activity are recommended. Example, let's say we are yesterday we were discussing in terms of, let's say we are preparing bhoga for the Lord, right? We are cleaning our house. We are not cleaning our house to keep our house clean because we think that our house is a temple. Because wherever Lord stays, we think that our house is a temple, and that's how we are cleaning our house. So for a sannyasi, cooking for oneself is prohibited. But however, we are cooking it for the pleasure of the Lord. That is how these are the examples that would fall under here. Right? So sannyasi may perform marriage ceremony for his disciple to ensure that he advances in the spiritual path or the progress. However, a person who is there in the pure goodness, what would the person do? This is what the person will do: performing one's duties in Krishna consciousness and employing the fruits of one's work to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let me repeat: performing one's duties in Krishna consciousness, that is what dovetailing all the activities that are required in Krishna consciousness activities, and employing the fruits of one's work to satisfy the Supreme Lord. That is what will be the true conclusion of a person who is renounced in the three modes, or a so-called tyagi who's renounced in the three modes. Because this particular person neither will be in ignorance, passion, or in goodness. He will be in Shuddha Sattva. However, for a passionate person, what would happen is this particular person renounces the work in the spirit, where he never gets the result of the renunciation, because for him the duties are troublesome due to the bodily comfort. That is how it is, and that is the best example of a here. So for example, a man working in Krishna consciousness, let's say there are certain people, almost everyone who work in ISKCON, they are almost in the mode of Shuddha Sattva. Somebody might be working as a driver, somebody might be working in a factory, and someone, so on and so forth. They are engaged in their activities, but what they are trying to do, they are working for Krishna. If we ask them, who are you? I'm a servant of the Lord. Whom are you working for? I'm working for Krishna. Right? And what do you eat? We eat only Krishna Prasadam. That is what the elevated consciousness people will talk about, who are truly in bhakti. Moving further, this is what a true tyagi is. We just learned. For a true tyagi, it is impossible to give up all the activities, right? Why? It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all the activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. For example, we see here, he's our His Grace Ambrish Prabhu. Who's Ambrish Prabhu? He's the owner of the Ford Motors, Alfred Ford, right? For him, he's still working. And now he's renounced in both ways. At the same time, he's not attached to the fruit, neither to the work as well. Freedom from bondage through karma yoga. That is what we can understand, right? Hence, the prescribed duties should never be renounced. That's exactly what we keep on saying. Our Lord Krishna has also emphasized, whatever we are working, continue to work rather than getting attached to the work, and rather than getting attached to the fruits and the results as well. Don't get attached to it. Continue to work, continue to work. Finally, whatever you get, offer it to the Lord. As simple as that. That is called as a proper way of a tyagi, or a proper renunciation. This is what we were discussing about. Like many members in the ISKCON, they really work hard in the office, or whatever scenarios or whatever zones they are based in, or whatever mode of work they are based in, and that is how they are enjoying as well in the true transcendental state. Yes, so this is again one important part. This is again the Jnana section, where Lord is trying to explain the 5 factors of action that would come into picture. Right? Let's try to understand what are these 5 factors of action that would come into picture. I hope we all know action would lead to a reaction. That reaction might be a good reaction or might be a bad reaction. But we will try to see these are the 5 factors of action, and how a person who's situated in Krishna consciousness, how he will act based on all these activities, right? Because a Krishna conscious person, all the chapters we have been learning that a Krishna conscious person is always liberated. How is he liberated? Because he is utilizing the transcendental knowledge in the true service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not have to suffer or enjoy with the results of the work after, and he will not even be entangled to the three modes, neither he will get into the janmaka, right? All the 4 things, right? I hope we remember mrityu, all those things. We will see that now. What are the 5 factors of action? We will see. अधिष्ठानं तथा कर्ता कारणं च पृथग्विधं विविधश्च पृथक् चेष्टा दैवं चैवात्र panchamam. So what are the panchamam? What are the 5 things? We need to see the first one, the place of action, right? Which is the kshetra, or the so-called body, the performer, right? The various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor one would take, and ultimately the supreme soul, who has to what you call, there are three doers, and finally the supreme and ultimately the supreme soul, or the super soul. These are the five factors of action that we learn from here, right? This is what the Lord is trying to say. Adhishtanam is the place of the body, or the kshetra that we go through. Karta, who's the doer? We are the doer. And karanam, what is karanam? Means the senses are the various senses which are being treated as the instruments of the action. And chesta, endeavor of the efforts, right? The endeavors of the efforts. And finally Daivam. Who is the Daivam? Who is our supreme personality of Godhead, who's the one who all our activities depends on, his will or his sanction. No matter whatever we do, all our actions will depend on his will or sanctions. That is what the Lord is trying to explain here in this particular verse. And we see all these verses a little bit in detail, taking each of these particular examples as to how a person acting in Krishna consciousness will not be bound by any activity, since the acting under the direction of the spiritual master and the path of the spiritual Lord is always transcendental. This way, this way, those who are completely engrossed in the transcendental knowledge, also acting under a spiritual master, will not be bound or entangled to the modes of the material nature. They will cross over the remember we spoke about Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratyaya. If you have to come out of the illusion, the only way is to surrender to the Lord. Now we will see that in the other verses over here. Okay, we will see how the modes entangle us as per our mentality. Right? We learned that one's work is dictated by the three modes of material nature. Now we're going to see how the knowledge, the action, the worker's performance, the understandings, one's determination, and one's happiness, how are all these factors are determined, and how they act, or they entangle, the modes entangle them one by one. We will see them, because all the activities within this universe, this that is within this material nature, wherever we are, it's like a jail, as we already discussed, are thus controlled by the three modes of material nature. And we're going to see them one by one, and we will see how one who's situated in the mode of goodness or pure goodness will is always the best, rather than being in passion and ignorance. First, let's talk about the one who is situated in the three kinds, one who talks about the knowledge. So basically, if you people are wondering, we are talking about the five things which we just discussed a while ago. This one, the five factors, which is adhishtanam, right? That is the place of the body, the performer, the various senses, different kinds of endeavor, the super soul, which is the daivam. So we are taking this because all these aspects are taken into consideration with the three things. What are the three things? Body, speech, and mind, right? Body, speech, and mind. This, all the three things takes care of the body, speech, and mind. So we're going to talk about that over here, with all these things over here, starting with the knowledge. How does the knowledge take aspect here? We're going to see that, right? We will see how one considers the supreme lord, and certain people, they do not, certain people who are in certain mode, they do not consider the supreme lord. We have already seen that, we have already learned that yesterday, that people who are in the mode of ignorance, they are so deluded that they do not even consider the supreme lord. And people who are in the mode of passion, they also equally not consider the supreme lord. And we have also learned that it is not at all intelligent to consider oneself as independent doer, because we know that there is a final person who is called as a sanctioner. Remember, we spoke about Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So there is a ultimate enjoyer, supreme enjoyer, and also a sanctioner who's going to sanction all the work. So what is this? Let's try to understand. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. Now hear all of them from me is what the Lord is trying to say in the 19th verse. So what does it so let's hear from what the Lord is trying to say. First, we will talk only about knowledge. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. What does that mean? A person who is transcendently situated with the transcendental knowledge, right, by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities. It is as good as like Samadarshina, Pandita Samadarshina, who will be able to understand that aspect of it, right? Who knows the impetus of it, right? And who follows the path of a spiritual master, who follows the scriptures, who follows the shastras. That is what we are trying to understand, stating that the person is in the mode of goodness, because this particular person will always do something called as pure transcendental work or activities. For him, the person will be able to see Paramatma. They will not see that, like, yes, this is a jiva, this is just a jiva. The person will see, apart from seeing each and everyone as a jiva, the person will be able to see, apart from a jiva, will also be able to see a Paramatma in each and every living entity. That knowledge is called as undivided knowledge over here, right? He will see the spirit soul. He sees that the living energy is imperishable, right? Imperishable. Although what are perishable? Our bodies are perishable. That's the first confidential that knowledge that we learned. But the spirit soul is imperishable. Nothing will happen to it. And also he sees that there are differences that can be perceived in this body. Remember the mode of dualities that we go through? Because and also we take through the various forms during the course of our life. From the time we are born, we go into boyhood, then finally into youth, then finally into old age, and then finally into disease, and then finally our body dies. But however, the spirit soul does not die. So we know that we are born to this pain and sufferings and happiness and goodness. That is what a true person will understand, who is situated in the mode of goodness. And that is what the Lord is talking about, the mode of goodness. However, let's see what would a person who is situated in the mode of passion will take. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. For them, their concept of material body itself is different, right? They think that the living entity is the living entity which is there. At one day he will be destroyed, and the destruction of the body, the consciousness is also destroyed, is what the particular person who's situated in the mode of passion will think. But do you think our consciousness is destroyed? No. When the body, only the body dies, our subtle senses along with the spirit soul is transmigrated to the next body, right? And these people, they also think the cause of the different bodies, right? They say that the bodies differ from one another because of the type of their consciousness, which is again wrong, right? And they feel that there is no separate soul because the body itself is the soul, is what they feel, right? This is what the mode of passion people they are into. And now imagine what would the mode of darkness will feel. The mode of darkness, they will think that, and that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager is said to be in the mode of darkness. I work today, I earn today. I work today, I earn today. How much have I earned? At the end of the year, I'm just working, earning for me. That is what is called as the knowledge. I don't care about anything else. Right? That is what a common man will always be in. For him, God is money, and knowledge is nothing for him. And any knowledge that we teach this particular person, whoever is in the mode of darkness, it's only the knowledge that is required for this bodily demands is called as, this particular person is always in that. All karma kanda activities, basically almost people who are in the mode of animalistic nature, that's how we call, they are below karma kanda activities, that's how we call they are like animalistic categories. So most common man will also fall under this particular activity, because for them, run, just enjoy, work, and after that come back from work, take care of the money part, eat food, sleep peacefully, and at the end of the day or end of the year, just count how much money have I saved. Again, get into the cycle of money, money, money. For them, like God is like money. This is what they think. Let's understand the next part. We just learned about only one part, how the modes influence. We will now try to understand the actions part. Now, what happens in the actions part? That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred. Remember, we were talking about yesterday as well this example. So, I have a wife and I have a husband and I have a child, right? Does it mean I should not love them? Yes, I should love them, right? But I should love them thinking that yes, that they are my parent or father or mother or not, but not to get attached. That's how we are performing. That's the true explanation here. Love or hatred and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness, and this is exactly what is mentioned in the shastras as well, and that is how one would attain the mode of goodness here. However, the one who is in the mode of passion, what the person would do, but action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. Again, one who is just blindly so much eager or hyper just to do karma, 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 and just accumulate wealth, right? Just accumulate wealth, enacted from a sense of false ego. They feel whatever I am doing is the best, I care a damn about others. That is what their true mentality is. And let's see what is the last people who are in the mode of ignorance thing. The action performed in illusion is disregard of scriptural injunctions and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance, right? They don't care. These are the people who do ugra karma as well. They what you call cause pain to themselves. They do horrible work, and at the same time they cause pain to the society. When I say ugra karma, the action performed in illusion, mohamaya, and disregard to the scriptural injunctions. If anything is mentioned in the scriptures, they totally go against it. Those are the actions these people follow on, right? For them it doesn't matter at all. That is how these guys are. Animal killing, slaughterhouses, right? They know what are the ill effects of doing any kind of activity, still they get into those kinds of activity. So finally, what do we understand from these things? Please perform the duty without any association with the modes of material nature and without any false ego. That is what we can understand. And how do we do this activity? With great enthusiasm, right? With great enthusiasm and great determination, and without even unwavering and without even faltering in our efforts. And how can we achieve that? By following the path of the scriptures, by following the path of our shastras, and also by following the path of our gurus. And that's exactly why the ABCD formula or the ABCD principle is very, very important. Moving further, we just discussed about the knowledge, then we discussed about what you call the actions. Now we will see one's worker's performance, like we, the worker, the doer. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. That is exactly what we just discussed. A person who does all these things is the person who is situated, or a worker who is situated in the mode of goodness. However, the worker who is attached to the work and the fruits of the work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, who's always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. For them, they are very hyper. We already have seen this. People who are in the mode of passion, for them, it's all aggressive work. They need results now. They just want to enjoy the results, enjoy the work as well as enjoy the fruits. They want to dominate. Very, very aggressive these people are. We have already seen that, right? And their mentality is also impure, right? And they are moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. However, the worker who is always engaged in work against the injunction, again, these are Ugra Karma people, right? They are really materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating. Always they postpone things, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. We have also discussed. For them, they what do they do? They postpone the work, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month. Finally it will go to 1 year. Finally they'll forget about it. They don't mind dragging a particular work, no matter what, how important the work is. That's how these people are. Moving further, now we're going to talk about the intelligence. What is the intelligence? How does it play a role? O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be done and what is not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. So this particular person understands the mode of dualities, right? So here we are talking about understanding and determination. The person who uses the intelligence over here with proper understanding and determination, right? He's acting in the mode of dualities. He understands everything. That way, the actions which he does, he doesn't even get into entanglement. That is what it is called as, what is binding and what is liberating. He knows clearly there is a thin line of difference, and this particular person knows that very clearly, who's situated in the mode of goodness. However, the person who's situated in the mode of passion, what does he do? O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. This particular person does not even identify anything. He's so confused in a state of his life. And this particular person does anything and everything, whatever he feels is the best. Because for him, basically he wants to work, and basically he's just looking for the results. However, a person in the mode of ignorance, what does he do? That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, this is completely horrible. This particular person, why? He's under the spell of illusion and darkness. He doesn't even take anything, no spiritual injunctions at all, right? And strives always in wrong direction. O son of Partha, he is in the mode of ignorance. That is what we can understand from such kind of people. Moving on, we will see three kinds of determinations based on the modes of material nature again. So this is again, I can just read through here. So the person who is situated for determination, what would happen? They are really unbreakable, because they are steady. They are a self-realized soul, right? How they are steady? Because their steadfastness by yoga practices, and by which they thus control the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. This is how they are always determined. They are always steady. Avyabhicharina, right? It's like undeviated path, ananya bhakti. This is how they are. And the people, but that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is the nature of the passion. But however, these guys, passionate guys, we know that they are looking only for the fruitive results. For them, economic development and sense gratification also matters, and they look for immediate results. For them, it doesn't matter anything and everything. Only matters them is how fast they can get the results. That's how hyper they are. And the people who are situated in the mode of darkness, I'm sure we know them. They are dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, and such. And that's exactly how they are literally unintelligent. So what kind of determination these people will have? Forget about the determination part. Moving on, this is the last section. This is the last part of this particular section, where we were talking about the five factors that would affect. So this is again happiness, that which in the beginning may be just like a poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens ones to the self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. For example, we all talk about, from the day one we are emphasizing on chanting, chanting, chanting. No, Prabhu, chanting is very tough, right? It's a very, very tough task. We can't take up chanting at all. It is so tough. But we don't understand that once we are able to connect with chanting, and once we are able to connect with the Lord, it is as good as a nectar. And we have seen many cases over here in this particular association itself who are plugged onto the call. They have given their information, rather they have given their part of happiness and realization as well, right? How they are in the transcendental state and they enjoy, and how they have changed their schedules and all, and how they have awakened themselves as well, right? But there are people, let's see the passionate people, how do they seek happiness? That happiness which is derived from the contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first but poison at the end, is said to be in the nature of passion. For them, immediately, because of the immediate results, these people, they enjoy. For them, it's like immediate nectar as and when they see, but at the end it is as good as a poison, right? For example, they indulge in many meager activities, right? And those are the effects. We know today what are the ill effects of it: separation, divorce, lamentation, all wrong, what you call wrong path which people have taken it. Those are the ones who are in the mode of passion. Now, I don't know if we have to talk about the people who are in the mode of ignorance. They don't even know what they are doing in their life. It's like somebody else is praying. Now, who's that somebody who's playing for them? It is the Maya who's literally controlling them, and these people are literally deluded. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be in the nature of ignorance. For them, no matter what, how much ever Upadesh you give them, Gita Upadesh you give them, it's as good as like somebody is barking or somebody is just blabbering something. They can't hear at all. That is how such kind of people who are situated. Okay, so that was a section about how the five factors work and the various activities, how they will work, which is knowledge, understanding, determination, one's work, their actions, and everything we saw. Now we will see the four kind of ashramas, which we have already learnt about it as well. We will quickly go through them. We know Brahmana, who's always peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge. These are all the qualities or the divine qualities: knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. And we know Kshatriya, who's like heroism, they have power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in the battle, generosity, leadership, and they are natural qualities of the work. However, the Vaishyas and Shudras, they indulge in farming, cow protection, and business are the nature of work for the Vaishyas, and for the Shudras, they are all labor and service class to others. We all belong to the Shudra category. I don't think we need to elaborate further because this was there in the section. I thought I'll talk a bit about this and finally arrive at who's the best among all of them. But who's the ideal worker? We just learned the ideal worker is a Tyaga who's completely situated with his body, speech, mind, and everything, and who is undeviated from the path of what we call the devotional service, who is following the ABCD principles, and who is continuously his focus is on the what we call lotus feet of the Lord. This is one particular verse which is an important verse. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kanshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. What does it mean? One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Does it mean we all are ideal workers and are we already on the Brahmabhuta stage? No, we are still trying to enter, right? It's just like we have got initiated. I don't know, maybe many of you are in this stage, but I'm still not, because this is one who is transcendently situated, right? Who realizes a supreme Brahman. Does it mean that I have not realized or we have not realized? Yes, we have realized it. But are we becoming fully joyful? Yes, we are becoming fully joyful whenever we are thinking about the Lord, whenever we are hearing the pastimes of the Lord, whenever we are defining the glories of the Lord, Krishna Katha, chanting, whenever we are talking to our association and all, we are becoming. But what about the second part of this particular sentence? He never laments or desires to have anything. Are we lamenting and desire to have anything? A true Tyagi is the one who never laments or desires to have anything. Yes, we are also saying that, oh Lord, whatever is your desire, do it. But at times, the moha and the tyaga aspect of it, at times we get into attachment as well. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. So, are we able to see that? Are we equally disposed towards every living entity? Don't we cause any harm? When we say causing harm, I'm not talking about eating non vegetarian food over here. I'm talking about harming through our lust, greed, and anger, harming through our speech, right? Harming through our actions that we do, which we just learned, right? All those things comes into picture. No, we have not attained that state yet. In that state he attains the pure devotional service unto me. So that is exactly why I said we are not at that stage. So a particular person who's attained in this stage will be like a Mauni or a so-called Muni, which we learned yesterday, and that is the Brahmabhuta stage which the Lord is talking about here. Right, and how this can be attained? Only by proper practice, by proper sadhana, only by proper bhakti. This is also again a very important verse. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the supreme personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. There is no other way. You can do all kind of yoga ladders we can follow, but at the end of the day, one has to take this path to bhakti, to understand the Lord. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Right? Only by bhakti. We might think most of the times we take care of our bodily pleasures, right? For our bodily pleasures, we need air conditioning at our home. We need many, what we call, creams and lotions to take care of our body, right? And we need many things just for our material body. But at the end of the day, what matters? It's only pure devotional service is what it matters, right? Everything is mentioned here, the sama, the tapa, right? The dhamma, Saucham, purity. Or how do you do? All the qualities of the Brahmanas. We learned about 26 divine qualities as well. And we also learned about 6 demoniac qualities which we have in us. Till the time we say, no, we do not have traces also of them, till that time we will not be able to reach to the stage of this one Brahma Bhuta stage. We will not be able to reach that stage. After reaching that stage, how one can reach to this stage is only by devotional services, what the Lord has been explaining again and again here, right? So by this, what would happen finally? This is like a sort of a conclusion. What would happen is one will be able to pass over all the obstacles in his life. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of life. Why? Because you will be always joyful. How will you be always joyful? You're always thinking about the Lord. You know that I am a living entity and I have a material body, and my eternal constitution is to serve to you, right? So will never even be lamenting as well. Neither will I lament nor will I desire. And I'm always equally disposed towards every and every living entity. So that is exactly how I'm utilizing my senses. Remember, we spoke in the second chapter is spoke about the senses, or the like a anga, like a kurma. We have to control them. And how do we control them? With the sixth sense, which is a sixth sense, which is a mind. And how do we utilize the mind? With our proper intelligence. That's how, with the transcendental subject, with the path of a spiritual master, we will be able to curb lust, greed, and anger within us. And that's how we can become a true devotee of the Lord. And with that thought of being in Ananya Bhakti, engaging always in the true Bhakti, we will be able to pass over all the obstacles, is what the Lord is trying to explain here. So the only thing is Shuddha Bhakti, which is pure Bhakti, or the so-called Ananya Bhakti. And that's how we will be able to enter into the abode of the Lord. Till that time, we will not be able to understand the Tattva. While we know the Tattva of Bhagavad Gita, unless we practice it, we will not be able to do it. That's how he has given what is the effect of hearing, what is the eligibility criteria over here, and when we will be entering to the Lord abode, everything has been given over here. Right. Finally, we know this. We have seen this from the various verses, from the various chapters, how Krishna is the director. He is the cause of all the causes, right? And how it is so significant that we understand this, because a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord and his representative. Who's the representative? The representative is nothing but a spiritual master or a devotee, right? Dasa, taking the shelter of a pure devotee. That is how we are. So we will try to understand this. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriday deshe arjuna tishtati brahmanyam sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy, right? We all know this. We have learnt this. Why is the Lord again explaining here? We know that we are spirit soul, and there is a Paramatma within us, right? And we know that we have to follow the orders of the Lord as mentioned in the scriptures as well. And if we are not following the orders of the Lord, then we know that what is going to happen here. So he is giving almost the entire summary over here, right? How is he giving the summary? That he is saying that he is situated in each and every one of our heart, and is also directing the wanderings. What do you mean by wanderings? We keep wandering here and there, the living entities, right? And he is seated on a machine made up of the material energy, is what he's trying to say, right? How do we wander in the material energy? What is the material energy? The mohamaya. How are we wandering? We are wandering because we are entangled in the modes of the material energy. But however, the Lord also gives us certain clues, which we have to take the clues. So our duty, what is the conclusion over here that we need to understand is our duty is to surrender, because the living entity is not independent. That's exactly why we should not use our free will. But how we should use our free will? Under to the lotus feet of the Lord, and always under the Lord's control. Be under the Lord's control. How can we be under the Lord's control? By practicing. And what is a way we can practice? By following the ABCDs formula. And that is what the essence of this particular verse is explained here, where Krishna himself says that he is a director. Moving on, we will now try to see here. Lord is trying to explain in this verses what is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. I hope you remember this particular verse, which I said this is the only verse which is repeated twice in the entire of Bhagavad Gita, right? This is the only verse that is being repeated in the entire of Bhagavad Gita. And what is this verse? Let's try to understand. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyashi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. Always think of me, right? Manmana bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. He's saying without fail, that is exactly how you will come to me. So what is Lord trying to say? Is he suggesting? He is directly advising here. Lord's advice to Arjuna. Clearly he's saying, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me, offer your obeisances unto me. And he's saying, become a pure devotee. And that is how you will come to me without fail. And he's clearly saying, I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. He's clearly saying. And why this knowledge is spoken to Arjuna? Because he's a very dear friend. We also saw that, and he's also a pure perfection devotee of the Lord, right? So what do we understand from here? So anyone who follows the instructions of the Lord, right, and takes the path of Arjuna, isn't it? So anyone who follows the instructions of the Lord, follows the scriptures and takes the path of Arjuna is automatically become a true devotee, or also becoming a true friend of the Lord. As simple as that. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, which we can understand from this particular verse, right? So the devotee should always concentrate his mind upon Krishna, nothing else. Always focus the entire senses. Control the senses through your mind, right? You are not, you are just withdrawing your senses. You are not force controlling, just like what people do in meditation, or those dhyana yogis and all that ashtanga yogis which they do it, right? In Brahma Samhita also it is clearly mentioned, concentrate, utilizing your mind, utilizing your intelligence. That's how this, because it constitutes the most confidential part of the knowledge. We learnt about it. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Remember, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. The mind is the enemy and also is a friend. I hope you people remember all those things, right? So that's exactly why we should not be able to, or we cannot divert our attention towards anything else other than you can just focus on to any of the forms of the Lord, right? Any of the forms of the Lord. And in fact, when you go beyond, when you get into the transcendental state, you will understand that what you call, you don't even have to focus on any of the other forms of the Lord, right? You can directly focus on the Shyamashundara form, the two-handed form, right? No Vishnu, no nothing will come into picture. That is how it is. But I don't want to give that explanation here. At this point of time, we can focus on Lord Narsimha, Govinda, Narayana, Vishnu, Ramachandra, whatever the various Krishna expansions that we can have, we can do that. That way, he promises that you will be my dear friend as well. That's exactly what the Lord is trying to say here. The essence of Bhagavad Gita. This is how Krishna personally protects us, and we saw that the entire Vrajabhumi, They were all pure devotees, and that is exactly, they were all what you call illusioned with what? Was it Mahamaya potency or Yogamaya? They were covered by the Yogamaya potency of the Lord, right? And that's how they were not able to understand the transcendental. While they were able to understand the true transcendental nature of the Lord, still they were covered by the Lord's Yogamaya potency, and they used to think that, oh, he's so beautiful, he's so transcendental, but they used to feel that, oh, he's our Krishna, he's our Balagopal, he's our Nandagopal. That is how they used to see, and that's exactly how Lord used to protect the entire of Vrajabhumi. And this is the main essence of this particular chapter, where he declares here, clearly he declares here, what does he say? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja, mam ekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma sucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, O Arjuna, and you don't have to be fearful about it. Do not fear. Right? So it's a very, very strong statement where he's clearly saying, Sarva dharman parityaja, just abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, and I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. And this is the true essence of where he is trying to say, right? So Lord has described various kinds of the knowledge, starting from the Sankhya philosophy. He gave the information about various yoga ladders, right? He gave about the information about jnana ladders. Then he got into the stage of explaining in terms of what is nature, right? What is material nature, and what is a consciousness of a jiva. And then he spoke about the various modes of material nature, why, how we are entangled with. And then he also gave information about how one acts in those modes. And he spoke about what is sattvic food, what is not sattvic food. And finally he told in terms of what is action, what is inaction, right? And how we should be in action and then renounce ourselves, how we should continue doing, we should not give up our prescribed duties, rather we should continue with our prescribed duties and all that. And finally he says, Sarva dharman parityaja, abandon all varieties of religion, unnecessary activities or all the unnecessary religion which you are doing, and continue with your prescribed duties and just surrender unto me. Right? This is exactly what he is trying to explain over here again and again. Now he's recommending to give up anything and everything and just surrender, and that's how he will be able to deliver. That's why he uses mamekam, only me, only me. There is nothing else you can do, no material nature, demigods, nothing, only me, because at the end of the day everyone comes to me, is what he is trying to explain. So no one can escape. He's again and again saying here, with this particular statement we should understand that no one can escape from the clutches of Maya, and only one who will be able to take shelter under him, which we spoke, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. Not even any demigods, not even anybody, right? That's exactly, whoever has taken the shelter of the Lord has become the greatest of the Vaishnavas, right? And that is how he gives the essence over here. Now that we learnt what is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, now we will also see what are the fruits of Bhagavad Gita one would get by learning Bhagavad Gita. One second, sorry about that. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshva abhidakshasi bhaktim mai param kritva mame vaishyasi asamshayah. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Right? So Lord is saying, once you know Bhagavad Gita and the fruits of Bhagavad Gita, just don't keep quiet. The first thing that you have to do is acharan. Acharan. What is acharan? You do the application part of it. You ensure that you apply them in your day-to-day activities, right? Engage in your day-to-day activities and apply them in whatever ways possible. Don't just keep quiet after understanding it, right? And apart from that, what you have to do, Explain the supreme secret to the devotees. Don't explain this to a non-devotee. It means, can we explain this to a non-devotee? No. He's clearly saying, take Sharanagati here. Right? In our scriptures, Haribhakti Vilas also, it's clearly mentioned. Take Sharanagati, and after you take Sharanagati, learn the essence of it, and at the same time, spread the consciousness. Now, how can we spread the consciousness first of all? Can we jump into preaching immediately? No. You accept the teachings and inculcate the teachings within you and imbibe these teachings in your entire association. What is your first association? Your family, your relatives. Start with yourself first. You set an example, just like the Lord has set an example in various ways, right? Like just like our acharyas have set an example in various ways. Srila Prabhupada, he set an example. We saw him taking as an example. Simply accept all these religious principles which are there in the scriptures. Take these scriptural injunctions, use them as a sutras or aphorisms, and utilize them in your what you call day-to-day things, like performing yajnas. Till the time you are not becoming a pure devotee, whatever is required, perform yajnas. But when you are performing yajnas, what you have to do? Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Tat Sat. We saw that yesterday as well, right? Whatever I'm doing, it's not for a material benefit, but it is the benefit of the Lord. I'm doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. And once you do that acharan, and once you do that practice, automatically people around you will be able to see that. Inculcate within your kids, right? Let them learn right from the childhood. And that is exactly how the pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. And he thinks that, and Lord clearly declares here, not thinking, his Lord is clearly declaring here, then once you start preaching others, you are the best of my friend. That is exactly why he is trying to say this again and again over here. This is like a so-called summary and the fruits of this particular Bhagavad Gita. For example, see, this is a classic example which we just discussed a while ago, right? Srila Prabhupada has shared this supreme secret. If he wouldn't have done this, if he wouldn't have taken such what you call horrible efforts, very severe austerities he has taken care, right? At the age of 70, when we people are planning to retire at the age of 40, he started his tenure only at the age of 70, right? What extreme austerities he has done it, what extreme pain he has taken it, right? He has accepted the orders of his spiritual master, right? That was the first thing he did in immediately in almost at, I don't remember exactly the year, I think it was 1920s, he accepted the orders of his spiritual master, and that was the first time he was seeing his spiritual master, where he gave an instruction, you have to go to the west and do all these things. Immediately, what did he do? He did the entire study of the Vedas. He did the entire study of the Vedas almost for 13, 14, 15 years he did, right? And then got into severe austerity. During that process, what did he do? He did his entire self control as well. So these are the various stages, if you remember, right? And he enlightened with his spiritual knowledge. He renounced, he left his home, and he stayed in Vrindavana, right? Before he could go to the west, he stayed in Vrindavana. Finally, at the age of what he call at the age of 70, that's where he took the Jaladuta, the ship, and during the extreme winters he went. So why am I talking about Srila Prabhupada again and again? So without his teachings, without his translation, we will not be able to take the essence of the Bhagavad Gita here, sitting on a Zoom call here, right? And the next person who has given us this particular golden opportunity is His Grace Namanishta Prabhu, right? Definitely we would want to play that video. Do you have that video ready? You can see the video where all everything is being brought to you today is from where you will be able to understand, right? So result of the preaching, and that is how we are bringing in this. So he is the dearmost servant of Krishna, and that is what Krishna is trying to explain in this particular verse as well. Right, the fruits of Bhagavad Gita, continuation again, same thing. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshva adhishyate. So there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear to me. And this is what the result, right? Lord Krishna is trying to explain that whoever gives the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, first of all, who accepts the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and also whoever shares the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So he's trying to give the benediction for the teacher as well as the preacher here. But again, a word of caution, there are many Bhagavad Gitas who have given the information according to their whims and fancies, right? And according, it's they have given based on their speculation and so on and so forth, just for their results. But Srila Prabhupada has not taken that into consideration at all. He has not given this particular Bhagavad Gita for his benefits. Rather, he has taken from all the Upanishads, from all the Puranas, he has literally skimmed through the Shastras from all the gurus as well, and he has given the essence the way it is supposed to be given. So that is how we can understand that how he's a supreme servant of the Lord and how he is a dear friend to the Lord. That's exactly why we address him as the what we call a divine spiritual master as well. Right, the effect of studying Bhagavad Gita, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence, and that is what the Lord is trying to explain over here. Why and what is the criteria? We learned from day one, from the first minute itself, we learned that one has to surrender and one has to do it with full faith and without any envy. With that three things itself, with those three criteria itself, there is no other criteria required to understand Bhagavad Gita. With that itself, one would become free from sinful reaction and will attain the auspicious knowledge or the transcendental knowledge clearly. Moving further, that's what it's being explained here, effect of listening to Bhagavad Gita. And one who listens with full faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Right? So here Dhruv Maharaj, while he had a material desire, but he had a Ananya Bhakti. Finally, he attained to the spiritual abode. First, he got the Dhruvaloka, but finally attained to the spiritual abode as well. Right? So this particular person, so a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the results of the religious activities as well. But one who listens with, first who comes with full faith without even envy, will automatically clear his sinful reactions here. He might not be a devotee as well, but slowly the person on his path will become a devotee. Right. So, firm and free from doubts, Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, now I am completely free. O infallible one, my illusion is now completely gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. So, in that 40-45 minutes, whatever Lord was giving the Upadesha to Arjuna by stopping in Ratham Sthapayata, I hope you remember in the first chapter we learned about it, and now his illusion is gone. Why? How his illusion is gone, which was bound by the lust and desire, right? One thinks himself to be the master of his senses and the master of the world as well. That is how his entire illusion is gone. Earlier he was compassionate, he started lamenting, but all those things are gone is what he is trying to explain, right? So what is the constitution of the living entity? We know that again and again we have read that and we have learned it. The constitution is to serve the Lord, right? However, one who does not understand this, we will be in the clutches of the Maya, is what we can understand here. So for all of us also, we have to come out of the illusion from the clutches of the Maya, right? We have to come out from the entanglements of lust, anger, and greed, right? And we should not say that we are the supreme enjoyer. There is a supreme enjoyer as well. And these are the verses which ultimately Sanjaya talks about. Uh, Thus I have heard the conversation of the two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on the end. These are the realization of Sanjaya, and Sanjaya is giving that information here because he also, his illusion is also cleared if he had any. And by the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. And that is what Sanjaya is trying to explain, our great blind king Dhritarashtra, and he's still blind with the illusion, and he will not be able to understand no matter what, because he never wanted to understand the Supreme Lord. Why? Because he never had faith and he was envious. Just now we learned that. And this is the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, Sanjaya's predictions. Yatra
Yatra
Yogeshwaro
Yogeshwarah
Krishna,
Krishno Yatra
Yatra Partho
Partho
Dhanurdharaha,
Dhanurdharaha
Tatra
Tatra
Shrir
Shrir
Vijayo
Vijayo
Bhutir
Bhutir
Dhruva
Dhruva
Nitirmatir
Nitirmatir Mama.
Mamaha. Wherever there is Krishna, right? Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. That is what Sanjay is saying, and Sanjay clearly declared and he predicted that Pandavas will be victorious, right? This is the famous or the last verse of this particular chapter here. I hope you people would remember, or maybe you would have heard from somewhere that you remember the Mahabharata picture. You should not keep that in your house, is what everyone says. Now you can think twice and go back and tell all those people who have had told or predicted, saying you should not keep this poster or picture in your house, which is the Mahabharata Yuddha, where Lord and Arjuna and everyone are there. It's clearly mentioned here. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, right? Hope you all know what is opulence. Opulences. Lord has six opulences: Aishwarasya, Samagrasya, Virasya, Sriyasya, right? Victory, extraordinary power, and morality. And he clearly says that, and that is my conclusion, and that is my opinion, is what Sanjay is also concluding over here in this particular verse. So with this, we end our what you call, you would want to. Oh, there is one Pandavas, the Narada Muni. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead with this.
Hare Krishna. Tanus pranams to everyone. I'm so happy that all of you have completed almost. So, just before we could summarize, there is one small pastime that I would like to say over here. So, once Narada Muni was like Narada Muni can go anywhere and everywhere within a minute. So, he was just passing by a village. And while he was passing by a village, there was a Brahmana who was performing like his everyday, his Nitya Karma he was performing. And he was very nice with the Lord. He was decorating him and he was chanting a lot of Vedic hymns, and he was very nicely doing all his nitya karma. And while he was doing this, Narada Muni gets impressed with his nitya karma, and he goes and he requests, "Oh Brahmana, I feel that you're doing your duties so nicely. Why don't you come along with me? We will go to Vaikuntha." So he gave this particular choice to him. If you are free, then let us go to Vaikuntha. And the Brahmana told, actually, I just got married and I have a wife. I don't want to leave her and go away so quickly. Please, can you come after some time? I mean, after some years, so that I can come along with you. Then Narada Muni thought, okay, he's not had any bhoga. Let's leave him and then come once again. So he came after a couple of years, and when he came after a couple of years, he said, "Oh, you know what? Just now I had a child, and I never had a child experience of a father. Can you please come after a couple of years again?" Then Narad Muni thought, okay, why is he? I mean, I'm giving him such a good proposal. These living entities really don't understand these things. Okay, let me just give him a couple of years. Maybe he just wants to experience what is it like to be a father and fatherhood. Let me go back. Then again, he came back after a couple of years and he said, I just had, my child is just studying, and then I want to experience how he's studying, how he can go ahead and study his future studies and everything. I want to accompany him in all of this. I can't come to Vaikuntha now. So like this, every time Narada Muni used to come, he used to give some kind of a reasons why he cannot come, and it so happened that he turned into a grandpa where he had grandchildren also. So when he turned very very old, when Narada Muni comes back once again, he says, "Come, let's go to Vaikuntha. At least now you've grown so old. At least now you'll be leaving your body. Why you want to waste some more time?" He said, "I have grandchildren. I really cannot come. I need to know how they are going growing up and everything. I'm so attached to them. I They all love me. I want to experience for some more time." And he gets he was like he's feeling that he's going a bit foolish there. Then when he goes back after some time, he comes back and he says, "Oh, this man is no more." And Narad Muni becomes a bit sad to see that. But eventually he finds that there was one snake crawling around over there. So when he finds the snake who's crawling around, he says, "Oh, oh." Then, as soon as he finds the snake, he realizes that it's the same person who was there earlier, that is the Brahmana, has become a snake. Then he's like, "Oh, you're here. I thought you already left your body and you went into somebody else." Then he's like, "Come, come, at least now let's go to Vaikuntha now that I found you." Then the snake would say, "No, no, my grandchildren and my no children are so foolish. They don't know that all this farm and all this are having a lot of rodents. They're not taking care of my farms properly, and they're not taking care of all the things nicely. So I'm trying to protect the family. So please, let's not go in such a hurry. I'll come with you to Vaikuntha next time. Please go ahead." Then Narada Muni realized that even if he taking another 5 to 6 lifetimes, he will not learn a lesson. So let me teach a lesson to him. And he turned towards his grandchildren and also his children, and he said, "Look who's here. Let's look who's here." And sorry, look, there is a snake over here. And as soon as he turns and he says, "Look, there is a snake," all of them just get a stick and they start belting and they killed him. They killed him right there on the spot. And his soul just comes out and he says, "Narad Muni, really learnt a lesson. I just wasted so many of my lifetimes being this Brahmana and then a dog and then a snake. Like this, I've spent so much time of having this attachment to my family, attachment to my children and my land and everything. And you had given me this proposal. Now I'm ready that I understand what you did. Let's go to the Vaikuntha." And he finally agrees to whatever knowledge that was given by Narada Muni. So this is how we need to accept what is there with 100% faith and not waste many lifetimes just by looking at our condition and how Dhritarashtra, and we have to see how one of us, I mean, we all are at this stage of how Dhritarashtra is viewing the army, how Duryodhana, and also how we had Arjuna viewing the army. So these are all the views that we need to take up in the right spirit.
Yes, there are various processes one can take up to for purification, but we know which is the ultimate process for purification, and we have also seen what was the last instruction of the Lord, who clearly gave his instructions here just to surrender, just to give up all sarva dharman parityaja, he has clearly given, and that is a true essence of this particular Bhagavad Gita is all about. So it's just not that we only learn the Bhagavad Gita, but apart from learning, again I repeat, please, please, please ensure you apply this in your day-to-day life. And in case you are not applying, then you will not be able to understand the essence. I seriously would want to show that particular video.
I'll be logged into my WhatsApp.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a minute. With this, we will. This is a final conclusion. What we just learned. Let me summarize it here. Not like an ordinary book. Bhagavad Gita should not be read like an ordinary book. It's the song of the God. Bhagavad Gita. Gita is a song. Bhagavad is a God. Lord's own potency of knowledge to enlighten fallen souls like us. We are all fallen souls because we have utilized our free will in a different tangent altogether. Bhagavad Gita talks about 5 principal subjects. I hope you people remember this. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and the Karma. Right? It enlightens us with what? Actual truth. And what is the actual truth and the absolute truth? Is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the living entities and material nature are his two energies. That we and the material nature are two energies. Living entities have minute independence. That's what we learn. And he's again and again saying, work with pure devotional service. By proper use of that independence, one attains and experiences direct association with Lord Krishna. How? With proper devotional services, right? We will be able to elevate from jnana to from karma kanda, utilizing the transcendental knowledge and utilizing this devotional service, right? One who hears properly becomes Krishna consciousness and thus can see Krishna in everything and thus can make one's life exciting and wondrous at every step, every moment, and every step. That's what the final conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is all about. With this, we will end this chapter and then we will go into the question answer session. Let's chat for everyone, people. Louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, please stand by. I would want to show that particular video, not that so that we get some charity or we get some donation to our temple, but just to show you that how the teachings are coming from His Grace Namanishta Prabhu and from what kind of a temple, so that you take these teachings as very seriously and apply that in your personal life. Can you try? Just give me, it might take just 2 minutes.
This video, right?
The video.
Of the temple
Yes,
program,
yes,
Sunday
the temple
program.
program.
Okay, there
Was
you
this the one?
go.
Okay. Okay, let me try to post this or share this.
Yeah, just share screen.
Okay, share screen with sound, optimize for video, and which one was that? This one, right?
Yeah. We just want to show how humble the temple is actually right now in is not constructed. It's just sitting in, I think it might be a two-story building, but His Grace Namanishta Prabhu reaches out almost Hare Krishna Vandana Mataji, in a month at least we reach out to 40 to 50,000 devotees, right?
More than that, I would say.
Yes, so we almost reach out to 40 to 50,000 devotees per month. That's
Can anyone confirm if you people are able to hear us?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, we are able to hear you.
Okay, I'm playing the video. Are you able to hear the audio?
Yeah, we
Yes,
Okay.
can
yes.
see Mataji.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to play that. Just wait for a while.
Hare Krishna,
Right.
Hare
So that was our temple, right? So that's the current temple, and that's what we are planning to go ahead with the other temple. Do you have the other video for the upcoming temple?
yes.
Right, so you can see how humble which we are and what we are planning to and from where all the teachings are coming. The reason why we are trying to show you this is so that you can understand how we are trying to reach out to everybody and anybody, so that you take up this seriously and what you call.
And His Grace Namanishta Prabhu, he's so humble, he hardly sleeps. We always reach out to him. It's
He's
like
there.
24 hours you can meet him. Anytime we reach out to him, he's like awake. He's either in one of the groups doing something or the other. It's amazing how he works 24 hours.
So this is the temple. This is the temple area or the new area or the plot that we have taken. Are you people able to hear the sound?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is a new plot which has been taken
That's
for the
approved for
new
the
that has been
construction.
approved for the construction. Hare Krishna. So that was the upcoming temple